Welcome to the final case in the series of Real People, Real Choices, where you work on a real-life case study and choose the best solution. Today's case study is from Chapter 13, Ethics and Regulations in Marketing. This case looks at the leading product of Diageo Australia, namely Bundaberg rum. So let's have a look at decision time at Diageo Australia. Diageo is a leading premium drinks company in Australia. This case focuses on Bundaberg rum, which is the largest brand in Diageo Australia's portfolio and their number one profit contributor. The Bundaberg rum brand is marketed in the different forms of a bottled spirit, a ready-to-drink version, and draft products. Bundaberg rum has taken a lead role in the alcohol industry in the promotion of responsible drinking behaviour. This goal is important for the brand as it helps establish long-term positive relationships with consumers and contributes to the brand's growth and sustainability. Because the brand is established, well-known and trusted, Bundaberg rum is in a position to communicate with credibility regarding the responsible consumption of alcohol. Therefore, their plan was to develop a campaign that would work towards building a responsible drinking culture, as well as building on positive brand perceptions and encouraging further brand commitment. This is a challenge because they need to demonstrate an understanding of the drinking experience and remain true to the brand image while providing positive messages around preventing drinking problems without being seen as patronising or hypocritical. In order to address this challenge, the firm has identified three potential solutions. Option 1. Bundaberg rum could devise a campaign that is true to its brand image. This option would be structured around a print campaign using the tagline, "Seemed like a good idea at the time." This campaign would use Australian pests, such as cane toads, in order to demonstrate how some good ideas can turn out to be a disaster. The use of Australian animals will help embody the real character of Bundaberg rum. Option 2. Bundaberg rum could devise a campaign demonstrating an understanding of the drinking experience. This option would use a TV campaign highlighting the Fine Form Awards, which will be hosted by Bundy R. Bear. An example of an award nomination would be for Jono, for listening to his mates and catching a cab home after a few too many. At the end of the TVC, the Bundaberg rum logo would appear alongside the tagline, "Applauding responsible drinkers." Option 3. Bundaberg rum could devise a campaign that relates to the night. This option would focus on the negative side of excessive drinking, by exaggerating what can go wrong when the night gets out of control. It would use the direct tagline of, "Only tools drink too much." Now you know the three options, what would you decide if it was your decision? Now that you have made your decision, let's have a look at the options other people would choose and why. First, we'll see a student's view, and then we'll see what an academic would do. The student selected option 2, the Fine Form Awards campaign. This option builds upon the existing brand perceptions and encourages brand commitment. Option 1 may not send a clear message to customers. The relationship between the animal and the product is unclear and focuses solely on the negatives, whereas the award script focuses on rewarding responsible drinking. Option 3 also depicts the negative behaviour associated with excessive drinking, which does not promote a healthy brand image for Bundaberg rum. The academic has also chosen option 2. This option supports Bundaberg's dual objectives of establishing long-term relationships with consumers while proactively encouraging a responsible drinking culture. This campaign focuses on responsible drinking by using positive messages. The humour and use of Bundy R. Bear are consistent with Bundaberg rum's brand values. It is important that the campaign avoids negative or patronising messages that are likely to turn off its target market. Okay, let's find out what the firm did in real life. The firm implemented option 2, the Fine Form Awards. This was chosen because it communicated the responsible consumption of alcohol in a positive way. The company knew that negative messages are usually rejected and considered hypocritical, especially when they come from an alcohol brand. They had the advantage of using Bundy R. Bear, who was seen as credible enough to coach young Australians on how to make the most of their nights out while staying in control. Therefore, they were shown as an example of what to do, rather than what not to do. So, What happened after Bundaberg Rum implemented option 2? Firstly, in terms of supporting their brand values, the firm's research showed that 23% of consumers found Bundaberg Rum more appealing after seeing the commercials. And the campaign was also successful in changing attitudes to responsible drinking, with a 65% prompted recognition of the campaign and with 1/3 of the campaign viewers being persuaded to think about drinking more responsibly. Now let's see how we can use the textbook to help us with a decision like this. Firstly, we can review ethics in the marketing mix on page 459, in particular the section entitled Making the Product Safe. This section discusses the example of the Foster's Group and their approach to alcohol in the community. Their policy guidelines include clear labelling, targeting appropriate age groups, and no offensive or illegal associations. And then on page 461, the issue of social responsibility is discussed. Social responsibility is the practice of engaging in activities that have a positive effect on society. The textbook highlights several examples in this regard which demonstrate that this is a normal and acceptable business goal. Because this case has the challenge of changing attitudes through a promotional campaign, it is important to look back at the chapters on consumer behaviour, Chapter 4, and integrated marketing communications, Chapter 8. The chapter on consumer behaviour addresses attitudes on page 129. In essence, the firm is seeking to alter consumers' attitude towards responsible drinking. As discussed in the textbook, an attitude has 3 components, namely affect, cognition, and behaviour. Because of the positive association of the Bundaberg Rum brand, it is likely that they can use the brand's likability to initially influence the affect component, in order to then influence cognition and finally behaviour. A key part of the decision of which option to use is based on how to structure the campaign's message appeal. The different appeals are discussed in Chapter 8 on page 292. The main choice for Bundaberg Rum in their efforts to shift attitudes would be between a fear appeal and a humour appeal. Fear appeals are often used to change social behaviour. However, they are mainly used by government campaigns, such as Don't Drink and Drive. Most firms avoid using fear appeals because they don't want to risk associating their brand with negative messages. Humour appeals are widely used because they are considered an effective way to break through the advertising clutter. The main risk with these campaigns is effectively appealing to the market's sense of humour. A final consideration is whether the firm should utilise a two-sided message, where they present both positive and negative information. This approach, which is discussed on page 295, is considered quite effective, but is seldom used, as marketers prefer not to highlight any negative information with their brand. Okay, let's put all this textbook information together. Firstly, integrating social responsibility into promotional messages is an acceptable business practice. And given the type of product, it is important to ensure that the product is safely used and presented. Next, attitudes towards responsible drinking would probably be addressed by utilising the brand's positive connection with the market to influence the affect component of attitudes. And finally, it's clear that a humorous appeal would be the best approach for the firm to use. Fear appeals are certainly not appropriate for this well-known and well-regarded brand. So, which is the best option for Bundaberg Rum to develop a campaign that builds a responsible drinking culture, while also enhancing their positive brand perceptions? From the points that we have gathered from the textbook, there appears to be only one option that addresses the dual goals of the challenge, and that is option 2, the campaign based on the Fine Form Awards. This campaign uses a humour appeal and presents the message in a likeable and positive manner, which should help modify responsible drinking attitudes while reinforcing their brand values. The other options are too risky, as they directly associate their brand with negative consequences. So that's the final Real People, Real Choices in the series. We hope you enjoyed the series, and we look forward to working with you through other Pearson textbooks in your future studies.